Hi everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Yesterday we were all kicked out of court because of the way that things went, so we are no longer there. We are back in the offices. I think it's the next day, maybe, and we're gonna, I guess, look around some more of the crime scene stuff and then go back to court, so here we go. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. Yeah, and the audience, or the spectators, what are they called? It's not the jury, is it? So I don't know, whatever they are, they weren't very happy anyway. I didn't know. I never knew that the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Darke killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. Lana wanted Darke convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean, what happened to you? It's all there in the file. Joe Darke's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. But what did you have to do with those killings, Emma? On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Darke tried to kill me. What? He tried to kill you? Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me. Oh, I see. So he died trying to protect Emma. Wow. So that means you... Yes, I was a witness in the Joe Darke trial. I didn't see that one coming. Okay, well... I mean, let's try and find out some more here. The SL9 incident. It happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of the year too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. Then suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Darke. So I'm guessing he was looking for Lana then, rather than Emma. It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Joe Darke tried to take me hostage, but before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then... what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck, and the lights went out. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. A permanent picture? Okay, after the incident. I don't remember the moment when Darke stabbed Mr. Marshall. So you weren't able to testify about that? No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why why she made up the crime. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumours about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean. Ah, so this is why there's that whole thing about Edgeworth and dodgy evidence and like this whole sort of impression of him is because of this case. Okay, it's all my fault. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have happened. So it's true, even though he may not have known it. Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold like she is today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did, especially not to Emma. Permanent picture. What did you see in the instant that crime occurred? ... Darke knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently, I passed out. So what happened to Darke then? How comes he didn't, like, try and kill Emma? Was it literally just he was going to use her as a hostage? But he could still have used her as a hostage after, right? So something else must have occurred between this, where Lana showed up, and Marshall being stabbed. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms. Poor Emma. You've been through so much. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that incident. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good.
2 years ago? You must have been 14. That's understandable. Yeah, it is. I mean, could you imagine as a 14-year-old witnessing something like that? It would have, that would screw you up.
Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I want to be able to fight crime with my testimonies, and find the evidence to make an airtight case. That way, Lana would never have to forge any.
I see. I think I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime.
Something puzzling?
There's something that's puzzling me, Emma.
What is it?
You said you were in Lana's office at that time, right?
That's right.
Why then would a serial killer come running in there? That's what I said, wasn't it? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor.
Oh, there's no mystery there.
What did he do, escape?
Joe Darke had been taken in for questioning that day.
Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police?
Of course. This happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office.
But why did he run all the way over to your sister's office?
Because the detectives' offices and the questioning room are right across from the elevator. ...
Across from the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she?
No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was the best in the entire force.
What? That's news to me.
After the Joe Darke case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor.
Oh, so she got the promotion off the back of getting the verdict, which was all based on falsified evidence. Okay. Lana used to be a detective? I better have another talk with her. Okay, so I guess that's what we're going to go and do, talk to her.
So, one thing I was just thinking during all this is it's nice to find out more about Emma's character, and I sort of got used to her being around with us on these cases. I don't know what's going to happen, because I've been told a lot of the characters in this case are only ever in this case, so I don't know who is a recurring character and who isn't. But I wonder if at some point we're going to go back to having Maya with us. And if we are, I've sort of got used to Maya not being around and having Emma around, so I don't know how I'm going to feel if Maya comes back in the next game and replaces Emma again. It's gonna take some getting used to, I think. I do hope that we see more of Emma either way in the series. It would be nice. Let's go to speak with Emma then. We've got all these other places, but I suppose let's start here. Sorry, not Emma, Lana. February the 24th, Detention Centre, Visitors Room. Lana Sky. Lana!
Mr. Wright, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence. I didn't think you were the type.
Criminals don't mind playing foul, why should we? But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty.
Believe me, I understand the risks. Lana, Emma told me about you.
Oh?
About how you were a detective 2 years ago, and how the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office.
That's right.
Could you fill me in on the details, especially about that unusual change of jobs? ... I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. Alright, well, let's ask about the trial. A lot of revelations were uncovered at the trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen as well, though I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be.
That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? ... I believed in you, Lana. I believed that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth.
It couldn't be helped, Emma. At that trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is, at 5:15 there was no murder at the police department.
Tell me it's not true, Lana. What the witness, Miss Starr, said. About you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us?
Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so phased before. Detective Lana Sky. It's true, I was a member of the police force 2 years ago. She was amazing! They still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gent cracked together, so I'm thinking Gent is heavily involved in this. He is my #1 suspect for whatever went down. I wonder if this is like some sort of misplaced sense of justice from Gent, who like has been desperate to blow open the fact that it was all some sort of, you know, falsified trial where the guy went down with evidence that was basically forged, and whether he's just trying to expose everyone involved in it. I could be wrong. That's my sort of working theory at the moment, because he doesn't seem like an inherently bad guy or villain. It could be that he's hiding that, of course, but I wonder if he's just trying to sort of be like anti-corruption in a way. Chief Gent. He was the deputy chief of police back then, but he still worked the crime scenes. Damon Gent. He was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever! They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed! Emma really idolises her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes so you could use that experience in court, right? Gant's help in the SL9 case was crucial to its resolution. After that, he became chief of police and arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of theirs 2 years ago. The Darke investigation. Here we go. 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Darke. Second in command? That means the investigation lead was Damon Gent, right? Yes, Deputy Chief Gent and I shared the same office and the same investigations. They even had the same office. We led a team of the best detectives on the force. So that's them. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall and Angel Starr. It was the first time Officer Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Yeah, I can imagine. Without a doubt, Joe Darke was the serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That was when his final murder took place. When he tried to murder Emma. Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Darke. You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. Okay, first one at the scene. Damon Gent and Neil Marshall were the ones questioning Darke that day. The investigation was in its final stages and Darke must have suddenly panicked. So he waited until Gent and Marshall let their guards down, then fled the room. From there he ran straight to the office shared by Deputy Chief Gent and myself. That's where he found me! So you were the first person to run to the scene, Lana? It appears so. I was filing some papers while Gent and Marshall were questioning Darke. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies? Prosecutor Marshall, the victim Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect Joe Darke. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Darke had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma, carried her out of the room and just held her. Can't blame her after all her sister must have gone through. After that, I placed Darke under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL9 incident. That's right, quite a coincidence, I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident just by chance. But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Yeah, Marshall. Officer Marshall, yes, his actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Darke. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case just might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Darke at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Gent and I shared. The office that Mr. Gent now occupies himself, the Chief's office. Maybe we should have a look at the Chief's office, the site of the final SL9 murder. Alright, okay, well. Do we have anything we want to present? I don't think so. Alright, well, I tell you what, let's go to Chief Gant's office if we can. How do we actually get there? Do we go this way to the underground parking lot and through? February the 24th, Prosecutor's Office, underground parking lot. No one's here today, not even Miss Starr. Everyone's probably busy looking into exactly what went down in the evidence room. That must be where the detectives are. But we proved in court today that on the day of the crime, no one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15 PM. Yeah, I thought we were finally making some headway in our case. But instead it looks like we just ended up making Lana look even more guilty. Hang in there, Lana. I've got to find all the answers by tomorrow. Yeah, so we want to go to Gant's office. We will do that in the next episode because we're out of time. So as always, thank you very much for watching. A big thank you to my patrons, Arcades Games, Wayne Nate, Paul from the Phantom Fellows, Lyle, Hobo, Numinous, Kumadin, Paulione, Flossie the Sheep, JohnCon555, Chrissy, Paul James, Zolties, and Adventure Game Geek. And I'll see you next time.